Live from Wayne Profit Court on the campus of the University of Lynchburg. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for some women's volleyball action here on LHSN. University of Lynchburg plays host to the Guilford Quakers. Hornets enter at 1-5. Quakers come in at 2-6, and we are underway. TJ Wingard alongside Aaron Farina on hand. Again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. And Aaron, a couple of teams on some tough times. It's a 6-game losing streak for Guilford, 4-match losing streak for Lynchburg. Both teams looking to start ODAC play on the right foot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both these teams have had kind of a rough start to the season. Both have played some pretty tough teams, though. I think they're really hungry to get in here and kind of put an end to that bad streak of gameplay, but also add a win to the first conference game of the season.
Taylor Breeden sets it up. Corey May slams it home. 2-0 Lynchburg with the early lead. When these two teams played a year ago, it was straight sets. The Hornets on top of the Quakers. Lynchburg looking to get the catalyst of their season underway tonight. Softly put over, attempted to by Cam Blankenship. Unable to convert. 3-0 Hornets out in front. Serving for Lynchburg is the junior Abby Leeper. First team All-ODAC last year. This one will get over and be slammed home by Nicole Bryce. Well, Aaron, when we saw this Lynchburg team a week ago today against Southern Virginia, they didn't have nearly the amount of energy we've already seen tonight.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think that after last week, I think that Lynchburg definitely learned a lot about what they need to do and what they really need to put forth on the floor in order to get a good win out. I mean, you can see that the energy on the court and on the bench from everybody on the team is just exponentially different than it was last week.
5-0 run to start the match for Lynchburg. Leeper back to serve. Mishandled by the libero Avery Lemons. We've seen Lemons have some struggles early on. Sydney Scott. So not necessarily the start to the match that Guilford was looking for. They opened the year 2-0 and have since dropped 6 straight, and already a timeout called by Emily Gann, her 16th year at the helm for Guilford. So an early 6-0 Lynchburg lead, and a spot here where not a whole lot to say other than Lynchburg's coming out playing really well. Quality serves from Leeper, and Guilford just has not been able to find an answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that Guilford, they obviously need to settle in their serve receive. They need to settle in their passing and really just focus on keeping the ball in court and keeping Lynchburg, make them play defense, you know. And Lynchburg's doing a really good job right now of playing the pace of the game that they know that they can play. And, I mean, they're in complete control right now. I mean, granted, it's only the first 5 or 6 points of the match. But, I mean, they're coming out a lot stronger than they have in their previous couple games this season.
And when you look at Guilford, a little bit of a scouting report here coming by way of second-year head coach for Lynchburg, Hannah Givens. She noted this Guilford offense wants to work quick, and they'll use a lot of zero balls, barely get it over the net, and force the front line of your defense to be active and play heads up. Early on, Nicole Bryce has been awake and ready for the task. Now we finally get to see a play set up for look like Devin Norman taking the hit, but
that's a
missing long.
perfect example of the type of offense that Guilford likes to run. They like to run that quick, really just short ball over the net tempo. And if Lynchburg keeps doing what they're doing, just keeping them out of system, there's no way that they can keep that offense up.
And what we've seen early on, I liken it to football. You're trying to make something happen after you make the catch, but you do that and then you ultimately drop the pass. And it feels like right now Guilford has not been able to reel in the pass first, but now able to get something over. Ricocheted off the arm of Taylor Breeden. Guilford scores their first point. Kill will go to number 19, Caitlin Kelly. So after an 8-0 run to start the day for the Hornets, the Quakers get on the board. Now looking for a long run of their own. Good serve from Blankenship. Another point here for Guilford. Flynn Christian almost covered the necessary ground. Starting libero / defensive specialist. Obviously wearing the libero whites tonight. She'll handle it here. Breeden sets it up for Bryce. Sent right towards opposing libero Avery Lemons. And I liked what I've seen early on from Nicole Bryce. She had a couple of kills. The ball was just played just over the net. Easy play for her there, but this one drawn up and she converts.
Absolutely, and it's really awesome to see a middle come in and be aggressive at the net like that the first couple points of the game, but especially a freshman middle coming in and still learning her place on the court, still getting used to the offense and the competition at the college level. And I mean, she's done a really good job this season coming in and being an offensive threat.
Page sets for Norman. Point goes to Guilford. Good volley between the two sides. Now a 9-3 score. The opening set of play. Norman serves. Breeden will set. Just barely staying in. Well played by Emma Drake. This is a pretty young Lynchburg team, but Drake, one of the seniors that you'll see out on the court very often. She's now subbed out on cue. But there gets the point and puts Lynchburg up 10-3. Serve misses long from Maya Green. Two teams exchange points. You see second-year head coach Hannah Givens. And I think what's interesting from Givens' background, alumni of Wingate, played there, as did her assistant coach Trez Ortiz. They played together. And Coach Givens, you would think maybe coaching or something there about that was her area of study. No, political science. And I had to ask her, how does that come into effect with your coaching and how you lead a room? She says, well, I always am thinking about the best way to say something, not hurt anybody's feelings, and try to get my point across most effectively. And, well, early on, it feels like she's done a good job communicating with her team. From a week ago today, I see a vastly improved team out on the court.
Absolutely. And, I mean, you can just tell the work that Coach Givens has put in. I mean, since she started, I mean, she was my GA my senior year, you know, and so to see the kind of transformation that she's had as a coach just in like a short 3 years from that has been really super fun to watch.
Named the interim in March of 2020, officially became the full-time head coach for this volleyball program in April of 2021. Serve comes from Sydney Scott. Green sets. Kill goes to number 4, Abby Leeper. Entered today with a hit percentage at 3.7%. And when talking with Coach Givens, she noted this team doesn't necessarily have someone who's going to take all the hits. Not going to be someone like we saw from Pinkston with Southern Virginia a week ago. Instead, they're having to get creative and draw plays up for a lot of different players. But if you can start getting more production from Abby Leeper, she takes another strike here. That'll be a big boost. Also helps when Nicole Bryce is swatting away any and everything that comes down that middle block position.
Lynchburg's done a really good job this match in particular of you can see the difference of how they're running their offense effectively from just the first couple points in this match to how they have the beginning of the entire season. You know, I mean, you're seeing them spread the offense. A lot of people are taking swings. A lot of people are putting points down. And, I mean, that's kind of what you want in a team like this to be, like, most effective all the time. You know, you don't want one person that's just your hot hand that somebody can eventually shut down. You want steady and equal point opportunities for everybody, and it just makes everybody so dangerous on the front line.
Flynn Christian to serve. She just made a fantastic play laying out, keeping the point alive for Lynchburg. Ultimately, the Hornets did win that point. Not this point. This one goes the way of the Quakers. 14-7, Lynchburg still out in front. Avery Lemons, the service line. Bartemeyer finds Green, taking the hit. Looks like Sophia Rucker. Guilford misses long. The Hornets stay in the driver's seat. Emma Drake and Taylor Breeden back out onto the hardwood for Lynchburg, Breeden to serve, sends it back to the libero Lemons. Blankenship takes the hit. Breeden sets, Bryce, soft touch, over to Blankenship. Set up now by Page. Nice play there from Lydia Saunders. After Leaper is denied at the net. Doesn't time that jump just right. Guilford earns the point. Actually, the point goes to Lynchburg. Looks like a Quaker might have been in the net. It's now 16-7. Page over on the second hit. Bartemeyer sets, Leaper, missing long. They're seeing Bartemeyer do something a little different, primarily a libero last week. On the roster as both that and a defensive specialist, but there, used as the setter on the play. Breeden to Leaper, kept alive by Guilford. Miscommunication, seen a lot of that in the first set. Quakers give the point to the Hornets. And another timeout called by Emily Gann. And communication is something that is talked about in every sport. You hear it when you're talking about soccer, basketball, baseball, whatever the like. But I think especially in volleyball, 6 players in such a tight, confined space, that communication can easily go by the wayside. And next thing you know, you find a situation like we saw a moment ago. Everyone's going after it, and then ultimately no one comes away with it.
Definitely. And I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit last week. I mean, you can see that Lynchburg's communication this week is just incredibly improved. And when things get tough, communication is the first thing that dies off, and that just makes everything go downhill from there. I mean, if you're not talking, if you're not communicating the way that you need to effectively on the court about who's got what seams, what sets you're getting and what you're running and things like that, it becomes so messy. And I mean, you could tell a little bit that being kept out of system, Guilford right now is struggling a little bit on that side.
And looking at some of the numbers, Lynchburg entered today with a hit percentage of 11.8%. Tonight, 36.4. Now that number will likely regress down to the mean some, but all that to say, Lynchburg has come out swinging, and it shows on the scoreboard. 17-8 Hornets out in front of Guilford. Abby Leaper is sent it away. Missing across the back line. You talk about the communication and some of the things that Coach Givens has had to work through, especially in a COVID era where there are things you can and can't do and some restrictions. Bryce sends this one towards Page. Now set up by Lemons. Blocked at the net. Nicole Bryce continues to play fantastic tonight. But continuing that point, to work on these teams' communication and chemistry, Coach Givens had them on a scavenger hunt across the campus of the University of Lynchburg, including things like jumping into a fountain, taking a picture with a squirrel, a myriad of different things that we would look at and say, well, that is interesting. But it made everybody work together, talk, and I'm sure it brought about at least a few laughs throughout the entire process.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot of things that you go through with your teammates throughout the season where if you don't take the time to do like in-depth team bonding and keep things light and make sure it's not all about volleyball. It's about the relationships you're building, and it's about the person that you're trying to become in college and like be in the future and things like that. I mean, taking the time to do fun things, even like silly things such as a scavenger hunt that Coach Givens made them do for one of their practice, like it's really important, and it takes the pressure off, I think, that a lot of especially the newer girls that are coming in and they're playing a lot of minutes, but they're not used to playing at the collegiate level yet.
Still some things to work out early on in this contest. Service errors in specific. Been a problem for both teams. 4 on the night for Lynchburg. The one we just saw goes down as the first for Guilford. But an 11-point lead in the first set. Green serves, Page sets. Well played by Vanessa Johnson, finding the soft spot right in the middle of the Hornets defense. It's now 21-11. Second service error. This one coming from Saunders. Freshman Jordan Bartemeyer to the service line after Hannah Stout checks in for Guilford. Product of Charleston, South Carolina, sends it away. Right at Stout, Page sets. The hit deflected at the net, but Vanessa Johnson garners another point for the Quakers. Deficit down to 10. Guilford looking to battle back towards the end of this first set, or at least at the minimum, carry some positive play into the second set, and you get a clean slate. Bartemeyer gets an arm on it, as does Flint Christian. Great defensive play, blocked. Once again, still alive. Sent over by Stout. Christian, Green sets up Salafu. Another terrific play there from Sydney Scott. Green wants Leaper. In and out of the hands of Vanessa Johnson. A hard-earned point goes way of Lynchburg. 23-12 your score in the first set.
I think regardless of the score of this first set, I mean, it's plays like that for the remainder of this first set that will keep Guilford in the game, you know. If they keep battling like that, regardless if they lose this first set, that's what they need in order to come back in the second set and really compete with Lynchburg. They
got some really good play there from Sydney Scott. She receives after the hit from Sophia Rucker, and Guilford wins the point, making it 23-13. Avery Lemons take the serve for Guilford. Sends it to Bartemeyer. Green sets. Leaper takes. Ricocheting off the ceiling. Page looking for Blankenship. It just barely stays in after being deflected by Rucker. The deficit down to 9 now. Green wants Bryce, who's played well tonight. Lynchburg forced to reset. Rucker will take. Sends it to the back corner. Scott lays out. Page sets up Blankenship. Christian gives to Leaper. Off the net it goes and stays in play. Lynchburg a point away from winning the first set. Taylor Breeden now with the honor for the Hornets. Page looking for Blankenship once again. Laying out as Christian. Breeden to Leaper. Played up by Blankenship. Bryce nearly gets it over, but just a little too soft. Guilford stays alive. I will say, as this first set has gone on, I think the Guilford defense has improved, specifically with communication, but they have been all over the court, players laying out left and right.
We've definitely seen a lot of longer rallies towards the back end of this first set, and I mean, I think maybe Guilford came in a little bit cold, maybe getting the jitters out, whatever it was, but I mean, they've definitely improved throughout this set as well.
Breeden wants Drake, sent to Stout. Page, now Blankenship, popped up by Breeden. Christian sets. Ricochets off the ceiling. A little bit of a miscommunication as well. Gives Guilford their 17th point of the first set. And now a timeout called by Hannah Gibbons. Lynchburg unable to convert on the set point. Miniature run for the Quakers. And as you said, improved defense, longer rallies. I think that's the beautiful thing about volleyball. You have a bad first set, well, you play really well for the next three. It doesn't even matter. You can put it right behind you real quick. Compare that to soccer, where if you have a bad 15 minutes, you might dig yourself too big of a hole, climb out of. Now that to say, it's still tough to overcome losing the first set, but not impossible, especially if you start to find yourself and make those improvements as the game or the match continues.
Definitely, and I mean, you're seeing Guilford. They're playing a lot stronger at the back end of this set, and hopefully, they're gonna, regardless of the outcome of this first set, both teams are gonna carry the momentum that they've gained in this first set into the remaining sets of this game.
24-17. Maddie Page to serve for Guilford. Freshman sends it away to another one. Bartemeyer gives it to Breeden. Leaper from downtown. Attempting to lay out and nearly making a fantastic play was Maddie Page, but unable to slide in just in time. Lynchburg wins set number one, 25-17. Don't go anywhere. We'll step aside and come back with a second set between the Hornets and the Quakers here on LHSN. Welcome back to Wayne Profit Court on the campus of the University of Lynchburg. Hornets take set number one, 25-17 over Guilford. Quakers looking to respond. And I want to say thank you to everybody tuning in on this Wednesday evening. This game was originally scheduled for 1 o'clock today. I'm kind of glad it was played at 6:30. Fits the atmosphere really well. We got a good solid crowd on hand. The new bleachers here at the University of Lynchburg. A lot of exciting things. And if you're a Lynchburg fan, you have to be excited from what you saw in that first set.
Definitely. I mean, I think that Lynchburg came out really hot in the first set, which was a really nice thing to see based on their previous few games. Guilford really improved from the beginning to the end of the first set, and it should make for a really interesting second and third set coming up.
I think some key numbers from that first set. 35.3% hit percentage for Lynchburg, and then 6 attack errors for Guilford, some areas where they can improve here in set number 2, but the Hornets back where they started, winning the opening point of set number 2. When these two teams played a year ago, it was Lynchburg taking contest in straight sets. Breeden sends it into the net. 5th service error on the night, so while Lynchburg has looked better tonight, still plenty of things to work on. Lynchburg has a busy slate ahead, hosting a tri-match this upcoming Saturday, playing host to Virginia Wesleyan and Averett. Bryce has it barely staying across the back line. And Bryce, for a freshman, has looked really, really solid tonight. They've been drawing up plays for her. Anything around the net, she's been all over it as well.
Nicole Bryce has been really steady this entire season. You know, she's been getting a lot of minutes coming in as a freshman. And, I mean, tonight she's absolutely on fire. I mean, she's definitely Lynchburg's hot hand right now.
Page. Now Blankenship to hit. Back to Stout. Page sets up. Looking for the middle. Devin Norman. Cool like the other side of the pillow. Softly sends it over and ties the second set at 2. Going back a week in Lynchburg's match with Southern Virginia, the first and third sets proved to be pretty lopsided wins for the Knights, but the second set was fantastic and as good a battle as you'll see. Great kill there from Corey May. Lynchburg up 3-2, but at least in the early stages of set 2, looking like a very even battle, at least compared to the 8-0 run we saw the Hornets jump out to in set number 1. Bryce back to serve, and into the net it goes. We're tied up 3 apiece. Devin Norman back to serve for Guilford. 6 service aces on the year, a freshman from Hillsborough, North Carolina. Sends it to Corey May. Breeden sets. Emma Drake takes on the hit. Now Drake down to a knee. Salafu. Blankenship plays it up, and over the net it goes. Lynchburg takes the point. It was actually into the net for Guilford. Lynchburg out in front by a point once again. And it's a 6-2 formation for Lynchburg. The setters primarily being Breeden and Green, who's the server now for Lynchburg. Green sets, wants May. Hammered towards the back line. Bouncing around on the rafters. An emphatic point for the Hornets. Abby Leeper ready yet another kill. Not properly played there by Blankenship. Junior patting her chest, saying that one's on her. Blankenship actually holds a program record, 19 blocks in a game. Green sends it right to her. Page. And followed up by a soft touch from Vanessa Johnson. Guilford takes the point. Makes the score 6-4. Leah Saunders, the service line. Leaper. Great play from Maddie Page, then sent over by Saunders. Salafu slams it down. So between Bryce and Princess Salafu, some great play from the middle. The Hornets front line tonight. Overall, a lot of players have looked good, but Bryce and Salafu standing out in the early goings. Bartemeyer to serve. Page, followed by a soft touch from Addison Needham. First time calling Needham's name tonight. Actually, the point goes to Lynchburg. Bartemeyer to Lemons. Green sets. Sophia Rucker hasn't blocked the net, but deflected out of play. And I've seen a lot of sports, but that has got to be the most frustrating thing any player could endure from any sport. Get your hands up, you get your block up, but it goes out, so therefore the point goes to the other team.
There are a lot of players that who like to play shots that they can tool off the block no matter what. I've played against a lot, and it is really frustrating, and it's also hard to do. But, I mean, it's snap of the wrist, how you're cut down, thumb down, whatever. And, I mean, there are some players that can do it every time, and it is infuriating to be on the other end of it.
10-4, Lynchburg out in front of Guilford. Jordan Bartemeyer, the service line. Page for Needham. Up by Bartemeyer, set by Green. Leaper takes the hit, sends it back to Blankenship. Page once again for Needham. Like clockwork, now it's Rucker with the hit. Laying out, well played by Saunders. And just crossed the far sideline and out of play. Hornets stretch the lead up to 7. Needham out, Hannah Stout comes in. Another service error for Lynchburg. There you see 16th year head coach Emily Gann. So that's a really interesting battle on the sidelines. Second year coach and Coach Gibbons, 16-year vet with Coach Gann. Salafu denied at the net. The Hornets are firing on all cylinders. And again, it's that middle blockers giving Lynchburg a lot of quality play tonight. Blankenship kept in by Green. Bartemeyer sets. Leaper finds the seam and gets the kill. And how about the play tonight from Abby Leaper? We've talked a lot about Nicole Bryce, but Leaper has looked really solid tonight as well.
Abby Leaper is, she's a phenomenal player. You know, she's came in having played most of club and all of high school as a libero, and then came in freshman year. It was like, no, if I'm going to come here, I want to hit. And so all of us were like, yeah, okay, like, come on. And, played as a freshman, came in, an absolute stellar person and stellar player. She lays out for everything, gets a lot of touches, and she's really active at the net.
Bryce backhands it. Page with Norman taking the hit. Guilford keeps it alive for a moment, missing out wide. And how about this? Leaper enters the night 3.7% hit percentage. Tonight, 42.9. I'd say that's a step in the right direction. Leaper's also done her fair amount of heavy lifting on the defensive side. Overall, put together a quality showing on the evening. Blankenship comes flying in, takes the hit. Breeden sets for the Hornets. Leaper taking. Christensen to Breeden. Bryce over. Page sets up Blankenship, missing across on the near side and out of play. Lynchburg moves ahead by 9. Now a timeout called by Coach Gann. And it was back and forth to start the second set, but now we're starting to see history repeat itself back to where we were midway towards the mid to late portions of the first set, where Lynchburg firmly in the driver's seat tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw in the first couple points of this set, I mean, Lynchburg had 2 service errors, so that's already a third of Guilford's points right there. And I mean, they've had probably more than what Coach Givens is happy with of service errors, but they're still playing really well, and I mean, they're still leading by, I mean, they have a 9-point cushion. I mean, I think that coming out of this timeout, they really need to focus on getting that serve in, and for the remainder of this match, they need to lessen their self-error and giving points up that they don't need to.
And do you think that's what Coach Gann is saying in the huddle right now? Hey, when we keep the ball alive and we're volley for volley, we're even matched with this team. Right now, we're just not helping ourselves out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Guilford's making a lot of really good plays. They're not as offensively strong as Lynchburg is right now. So, I mean, that they need to start putting Lynchburg in tougher defensive positions, and they need to start putting the ball down. They're keeping rallies up, but they're not finishing points.
Only 10 kills in the night for Guilford, counter to 12 attack errors. Only a couple of service errors and then 4 receiving errors. Breeden sends it over for Lynchburg. Page sets up Blankenship. Close, but out across the back line. Hornets up by 10. Looking to move ahead 2-0 on the match. Sent towards the libero, Lemons. Kept alive by Stout. Lemons does get it over. On the second, Breeden is sneaky. Seldomly seen, but executed properly, it can be deadly. The setter setting it over on the second hit. Breeden puts Lynchburg up by 11. Lemons lays out, can't get a good hit on it. When it rains, it pours, and right now it's a monsoon on the side of Lynchburg. 18-6. Blankenship denied. Player in the net. Looks like Blankenship. The sophomore Breeden back to the service line. Page lays out. Blankenship gets it over. Set up by Christian. Hit by Drake. Page on the second. Breeden there to dig it up. Can't dig that one up. And the attack tonight for Lynchburg has been vastly improved compared to a week ago. Their hit percentage in the single digits percentage-wise. And tonight at 41.5%. They're a service ace. Well, that'll help as well. Number 6 on the night for the Hornets. There's not much more that you can say than this has been a dominant showing for Lynchburg, looking to snap a 4-match losing streak. Guilford looking to do much of the same. Started the year 2-0. Wins against Pfeiffer and Piedmont, but then have dropped 6 consecutive. Are 4 points away from falling down 2 sets to none tonight. Blankenship blocked by Rucker. Or make that Drake. She'll get another chance, but misses long. And Coach Givens put a lot of emphasis on having her team get their blocks up, whether it's been Drake, Bryce, Salifu. Those blocks have been getting up tonight, and it's been a stalwart for Guilford to get through.
Lynchburg's block has been great tonight. I mean, even if they're not putting balls down, they're getting a lot of touches. I mean, we see Guilford having to cover a lot because our block is getting touches on everything and putting things back over. The defense at the net is incredibly improved since the last time they played at home. And, I mean, Coach Gibbons said they focused, obviously you said that she said they focused a lot on tightening up the block of the net, and I think they've only had one blocking error tonight, maybe two. And I mean, it's a really good change to see.
So not necessarily relying on the block to get you points, but they have made it tough all night long for Guilford, and they're a point away from taking the second set. Into the game comes Alexis Horner, first time calling her name tonight. And Horner had to come her way at the net. Instead spikes it back into the aforementioned net. Guilford gets their 7th point in the second set. Between service errors and then that one into the net from Horner, 3 of those 7 points have come from errors on Lynchburg's end. Bartemeyer can't handle the serve. Coming her way from Maddie Page. Now 24-8. Page ended the day with 8 service aces, has a couple on the night. Bartemeyer underneath this one. Breeden sets it up. Slammed home by Josie Walton to win the second set for Lynchburg. A dominant showing for the Hornets. They lead the match 2-0. We'll step aside and come back with the third set between Lynchburg and Guilford, coming to you on LHSN. Welcome back. Time for the third set between Lynchburg and Guilford. You're watching Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. TJ Winger alongside Aaron Farina with you tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a one-sided affair. If you're a Hornets fan, you can rejoice, taking the first set 25-17, then 25-8, and the second. If you're a Guilford fan, you want to see Quakers come out with some fight. They do have the serve to start the third set. With the honors is Maddie Page, sends it to Christian. Set by Green. kill from Emma Drake. All 3 sets now, Lynchburg has gotten the first point. And Coach Givens a week ago described her team as coming out flat, and that has been anything but the case tonight.
Lynchburg's come out with a lot of energy. I mean, you could tell in their warm-up that they were just it was something different from the last week, you know, and it was definitely much needed. And whatever they've been doing in the past 5 days since they played on Saturday was much needed, and it's a really awesome change to see in these girls.
Service ace for Abby Leeper, who continues to put together a great showing tonight. Hornets up 3-0 in set number 3. Well, the answer to your question is it's a scavenger hunt. If you're ever having a bad time, clearly the answer is go find yourself a scavenger hunt, and all problems will be solved. Other play, hands up, the block up for Lynchburg. Breeden sets up Walton. Lynchburg storming ahead, up 4-0. And it's nice to see Josie Walton out onto the floor, junior from Pamplin, Virginia. Haven't gotten to see her a whole lot this year. This becomes her 12th set played in. She got in at the very end of the second set. But she is a vocal leader on this team and somebody the squad rallies around. A specific, later on this year, there'll be a cystic fibrosis theme night, and obviously that calls very close to both Josie and her brother's heart, something that they both battle with. And it's nice to see Lynchburg as a program rallying behind that and devoting an entire day and game towards that. They're making t-shirts, so if you want to help out and get some of those sick t-shirts, you can do just that. And I encourage you to come to that game. It'll be the last match played this month for Lynchburg. The Hornets putting on a show tonight. Another good reason to come out and see this team in action. It's now 5-1, Lynchburg out in front of Guilford in set number 3. Bryce keeps it in. Make it 6-1 Hornets. Sent over by Lydia Saunders. Princess Salafu with authority. We've talked a lot about Bryce tonight, but that's not to overlook the showing from Princess Salafu, sophomore from Nashville, Tennessee. And ultimately didn't weigh too much of a factor in the outcome because obviously they won the set. But here, 4 points away, if they get it in a decisive fashion, close it down, slam the door, that would definitely be a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. I mean, regardless if Guilford battles back and they have some good points, they have some good kills and things like that, the first thing on Lynchburg's mind needs to be, all right, we need to side out on this first serve. You know, I mean, after you get to 20, it is a race to 25. You want to close out that set as quick as possible. And I mean, in a game like this, obviously they in each set they've had a decent cushion where they haven't had to stress about it. But come this weekend against Virginia Wesleyan, who's just come off a huge win this past weekend, I mean, that's most likely not going to be an option for them to be able to take their time and regroup and give up a couple points here and there when they need to figure out how to finish a set.
Yeah, and previewing the match 1 o'clock on Saturday, Virginia Wesleyan coming off going 5 sets deep with number 2 Johns Hopkins. And that 5th set goes to 15. It was 23-21. So not only did it go 5 sets, Virginia Wesleyan, the Marlins, battled with the number 2 team in the country. So really exciting and a tough test ahead for Lynchburg this upcoming weekend to also play Averett, that match set for 5 o'clock. Denied at the net. Another block. Looked like Princess Salafu once again with the big play. And checking in for the first time tonight is the freshman Claire Mosley, North Carolina native. Comes in for Michaela Cox. Nicole Bryce to serve. Page lays out, but unable to cover the necessary ground. 23-11. stage set slammed home by Addison Needham. I feel like a point there to release some frustration for Needham. And I wanted to ask you, if the score stands, and let's say Lynchburg does get the final 2 points, they sweep Guilford, ending a 4-match losing streak, how much does that help your confidence, team morale, on-court play, everything that goes into being a quality team moving forward for this Lynchburg team?
It's going to help so much, and especially coming into a tough weekend this Saturday, they could not be putting themselves in a better spot. You know, I mean, I think that having a bunch of really tough competitors their first several games of the season, like, that kind of weighs on you, you know? Like, you're battling and you're playing really good teams that maybe shouldn't beat you and things like that, but you're still playing good volleyball, but you're still not getting the results you want. Like, coming out and getting a win under their belt and getting their first conference win is going to speak wonders to how they perform this weekend and how they perform in the rest of conference play.
And piggybacking off of that, you want to win every match you play for sure, and Princess Salafu continues to dominate here in the third set. But you can put 1 of 5 inside when you look at your conference record at 1-0 and say, okay, well, that's pretty good. That's where we want to be, at the top, undefeated.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
we go. We can work with that.
And I mean, like, obviously your record is your record. You're still playing real games, but I mean, right now, like, once you enter conference play, in order to get through the tournament and put yourself in the best position you can to compete and win that ODAC, I mean, conference games are the only thing that count after that point, you know? I mean, like, it's going to help you to win your win all your games that are on your schedule for your postseason, but the first things first is you got to get through the ODAC tournament first, and that's one thing that Lynchburg volleyball is so hungry to get.
And it starts with a 1-0 ODAC record. 25-14, the score in the third set. Lynchburg takes tonight's match in straight sets against Guilford, so the Quakers fall to 2-7 on the season, 0-1 in ODAC play. Lynchburg elevates 2-5 overall, 1-0. We were just sort of alluding to it, Aaron, but some of the big takeaways from this one, I think the Lynchburg attack as well as the defense. Overall, this team just looked much improved from where they were a week ago.
I mean, you can just see the confidence they had coming into this this match, and the team chemistry just looks completely different. I mean, they look like a whole new team, like, playing out there together, you know, with the bench engaged and with everybody getting minutes on the floor today. I mean, it's going to be a really great confidence booster coming into a weekend of tough games.
Meanwhile, for Guilford, the losing streak continues now, 7 consecutive matches dropped. Still think some things that you can build upon moving forward, but what do you think this team needs to do to try to turn things around heading into ODAC play?
I mean, I think that Guilford, they need to come out a little bit stronger. You know, we saw them starting to battle a little bit at the end of that first set, and from then on out, they played really good defense. You know, they're getting a lot of touches. I think they need to settle that first pass on serve so they can run the offense that they like to run. But they have some girls that can hit on this team. I mean, we saw it at the very end from those last right side attacks. And I mean, I think the main thing is they need to settle the ball and they need to start being more offensive minded. You know, it's not just keeping the ball alive. We need to actually put some pressure on the defense of the team across the court.
Like we talked about last week with Lynchburg, communication is something that will be spoken about a lot moving forward for Guilford. But that's going to bring a close to this LHSN women's volleyball broadcast. I'd like to give a shout out to our director, Sam Rice, and the rest of our LHSN production crew. For my broadcast partner, Aaron Farino, my name's TJ Wingard. And until next time, we are signing off.